Problem 1 on the warm-up, we have x cubed times x to the 5th. So we add the exponents. So this will give us x to the 8th power. Number 2, our coefficients, we're going to have -1 times -9 times -2. So -1 times -9 is 9. 9 times -2 is -18. Then we're going to add the x's, so we have a 1 here and a 4 there, which makes 5 minus 1 gives us 4. Y to the 1 plus 1 gives us 2. So we have -18x to the 4th y squared. Number 3, we add 1/3 plus 5/3 is 6/3, which 6 divided by 3 is 2. So this will give us n squared. Number 4, we've got -2 is going to be squared. So that's -2 times -2, which is +4. And then power to power, we multiply the power. So 3 times 2 gives us 6. So this will be 4x to the 6th power. Number 5, we're going to have 3 that's raised to the 4th power. So that'll be 3 times 3 is 9 times another 9 gives us 81. And then half of 4, half times 4 means half of 4. So half of 4 is 2. So we're going to have 81 n squared. And then number 6 is a little bit different. We're going to be getting into this later. But these are like terms. So when you have like terms, all we're going to do is combine the coefficients. So 3 plus 4 gives you 7, but we keep the x squared. You don't try to add the exponents. You only do that if that addition sign were to be multiplication. All right, so in the notes here, we're going to have simplifying quotient. So when we simplify quotients, that means division. So we're going to work it out using the expanded form. And when you have the same thing on top as you do on the bottom, you can just cancel out. So we're going to cancel, cancel, cancel. So that gives us 2 left on top. So the simplified version is x squared. So what happened to the variables on the bottom? They canceled out. Number 2, we have x squared divided by x to the 5th. So you have 2 x's on top and 5 x's on the bottom. So we're going to cancel out a pair, 2 pair actually. Now, if you don't have anything left on top, you need to put a placeholder there. So we're going to put a 1, and then you have 3 x's on the bottom. So it'd be x cubed. So why is x cubed on the bottom? That's just where the leftovers are. Number 3. You have 8a to the 5th divided by 2a to the 6th. So we can reduce the 8 and the 2. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then we can go through and cancel out the a's. There's a pair, there's a pair, 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 pair. So we are left with 4 in the numerator, all over 1a in the denominator. So what happened to the 8 and the 2? We simplified it or reduced it. Why is 1a left on the bottom? Well, that's leftovers. Number 4, 2x is 7 divided by 6, x cubed. So we're going to reduce the 2 and the 6. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then let's cancel out 1 pair, 2 pair, 3 pair. So we're left with x to the 4th on top, all over 3. What happened to the variables on the bottom? Canceled out. Why is the 3 left on the bottom? Because 2 divided by 6 is equal to 1/3. So the 3 is left on the bottom. So let's see what we can do here. On rules when simplifying with the same base or exponent that are quotients, or basically division, we're going to reduce or divide the coefficients. And then if you haven't noticed already, just as a shortcut, when you look at problem 1, we go from x to the 5th divided by x cubed, and you get x squared. So what we can do as a shortcut is subtract 5 minus 3 5 minus 3, and that gives us 2. Number 2, you can still subtract 5 minus 2, but the larger amount of x's are left in the bottom. So 5 minus 2 is 3, and those 3 will be left over in the bottom. Number 3, you have 6 minus 5, so that's 1, and that 1 will be left over in the bottom because 6 is larger than 5, and it's in the bottom. Number 4, 7 minus 3 is 4, and those 4 are going to be left over in the numerator because that's where your larger exponent is. So we're going to subtract the exponents. And then if the larger number of variables is on top, the remaining will stay on top. If the larger number of variables are on the bottom, the remaining will stay on the bottom. If nothing is left on the bottom, then it is a whole number answer. If nothing is left on top, you must put a 1 on top. All right, so it says in this box right here, when simplifying quotients, 4x cubed over x, that's going to give you 4x squared. So when there's nothing left in the denominator, don't leave it over 1. However, if you have that switched and it's x divided by 4x cubed, that's going to be equal to 1 over 4x squared because everything canceled out in the numerator, so you're going to need to put a placeholder there, and that placeholder is going to be 1. All right, so let's kind of take a look at what we can do here. So on multiplying, I'm not sure why these are still left over for some reason on the second page, but we'll get rid of them. Okay, so whenever we multiply, I'm basically just going to show you what you need to be thinking. So we need to be thinking 4 times 3, and then with your exponents, we can add the exponents. So basically we have 4 times 3 is 12, x to the 5 plus 4 gives you 9. And then when we have a power to a power, you're going to take 4 and square it times x, and power to a power, multiply the power. So 4 squared is 16. X to the 3 times 2 is 6. And then on this one, we're going to have 15 divided by 20. So we can reduce that by 5 and get 3/4 times, okay, we have x to the, okay, what we can do is subtract these. So I'm going to go 6 minus 4. So 6 minus 4 is 2, but those 2 are going to be left over at the bottom because that's where your larger exponent's going to be. So the final answer would be 3 over 4x squared. All right, so let's go down below and see what we can do here in trying these. So on number 5, this is a 1, so 3 minus 1 gives us 2. So those 2 are going to be left over in the bottom, so we have to put a 1 as a placeholder in the numerator. This will be 10 minus 4, which is 6, so that's x to the 6th power. Our 4 right here is going to stay. But if we go 7 minus 5, that gives us 2, but the 2 left over will be in the denominator. Number 8, you can reduce. 4 divided by 4 is 1, 8 divided by 4 is 2. So we know there's going to be a 2 in the denominator. And then we're going to subtract 7 minus 1 gives us 6, and those 6 are going to be left over in the numerator. Number 9, let's see, our x's, 6 minus 2 is 4. Those 4 are going to be left over in the denominator. And then our y's, 3 minus 2 is 1. So that 1 is going to be left over in the numerator. Number 10, we're going to reduce 15 and 10 by 5. So 15 divided by 5 gives us, 15 divided by 5 is 3. And 10 divided by 5 is 2. So we know we're going to have 3 over 2. And then we're going to subtract. So 3 minus 2 gives us 1, and that 1x is going to be left in the denominator. All right, let's go. When it says raising fractional base to a power, both numerator and denominator get raised to that power. So basically, this is going to be x squared divided by y squared. Number 12, this will be 2 to the 4th. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, x to the 4th, and 3 to the 4th is 81. Number 13, we can multiply power to a power, we multiply the power. So this will be x to the 12th divided by n to the 5 times 4 is 20th power. All right, and then let's look down here at the bottom. As it says, raising all of an expression to a power. Answer should have positive exponents. So on this one, this will be -5 that's going to be raised to the 3rd power. And then we have, so that'll be a -125 x to the, and we can multiply. -4 times 3 is -12, but we need to write this using positive exponents. So our -125 is going to be in the numerator, and then we're going to move that x to the -12th. We move it down and change that -12 to a +12. So -125 x to the 12th power. Number 15, we can reduce the 4 and the 8, so this will become a 1 and this will become a 2. That x to the -6th, we're going to move down, okay? So what it's going to look like, basically, is we're going to have a 1 over 2, and we're going to have x squared down there along with x to the +6th, and then that y to the 0 power is just 1. And then, so basically, we're going to have y to the 3rd in the numerator. So our final answer will be y cubed all over 2x to the 8th power. All right, let's look at number 16. So on number 16, we can multiply. We don't have any exponents on the outside. So we can go 2 times 4, and that gives us 8. And then we can add 3 plus 5, and that gives us to the 8th power, all over x to the 10th power. So our final answer would be 8 over 10 minus 8 is 2. And those 2 are going to be left over in the denominator. All right, number 17. Now we do have a power on the outside. So power to a power, we're going to multiply the power. So -2 times 4 is -8. Y to the 4th power, all divided by x cubed y to the 6th power. So this x to the -8, we're going to move down to the bottom. So it's going to look like y to the 4th all over x to the, that'll be a +8 plus 3, which will give us 11 y to the 6th. So the final answer, when we subtract 6 minus 4, that gives us 2. So we're going to be left with x to the 11th, y squared, and we need a placeholder in the numerator, so that's going to give us, or so we're going to put a 1 up there.